The darkness beneath the earth was never meant for human eyes, but tonight the tunnels breathe again, stirring with something older than memory, older than language, older than the silence that smothers every corner of this abandoned mine. At the start, there is only a dim flicker of light trembling against the rock walls, a failing flashlight's beam pushing through a suffocating blackness that seems almost alive, clinging to every surface as if reluctant to release the secrets buried within. The air tastes of rust, moisture, and forgotten breaths, and the cold presses against the skin like the touch of unseen fingers. Every echo stretches too far, lingering too long, repeating subtly wrong, like a voice trying to mimic the sound of footsteps without truly understanding how humans walk. The deeper the journey goes, the more the tunnel seems to pulse, as if the stone itself is waking from a long slumber. The wooden beams lining the walls creak under an unseen pressure, bending slightly as though bowed by reverence for something enormous moving just out of sight. Strange markings etched in the rock appear with increasing frequency, scratches too deep and too long to have been made by tools, lines curving into impossible shapes that seem to rearrange themselves when the light shifts, symbols that feel like warnings or maybe invitations.
A cold wind drifts from deep within the earth, despite no opening anywhere ahead, carrying whispers too faint to place, whispers that grow clearer the longer one listens, forming fragmented sentences in an unknown tongue. And then the sound comes, the slow, dragging movement, something heavy pulling itself across the stones, the rhythm uneven, as if the creature, unused to motion, has begun to crawl once more. The air vibrates with a low hum, a resonance that makes the bones feel hollow, and the shadows stretch unnaturally long across the tunnel floor, bending at angles that defy logic. A pair of glowing red eyes flicker at the edge of the darkness for the briefest moment before vanishing, leaving behind a sense of being watched so intensely that the skin prickles. The flashlight flickers harder, its beam trembling as if afraid, and for a second, the tunnel collapses into total darkness, where time feels frozen, as if the world is holding its breath. When the light returns, the ground is disturbed. Claw marks appear where there were none before, fresh and moist, as though carved by something that passed just seconds ago. The tunnel narrows, the walls closing inward like the throat of some ancient beast, and the sound of distant machinery echoes faintly. Old mining carts rolling, chains rattling, engines long dead turning once more, moved by unseen hands. Dust falls in delicate streams from above, shimmering in the failing light like pale ashes drifting from a fire that died centuries ago.
A sudden gust extinguishes the last bit of warmth in the air, leaving only a cold so intense it feels wet, seeping into the bones. Every sense screams that something is drawing near, not rushing, not hiding, but approaching with a deliberate patience, savoring each step. The deeper one goes, the more the tunnel changes. The walls begin to pulse like living tissue, veins of black mineral throbbing faintly as though blood moves within them, and distant thuds echo like the beating of a slow, massive heart. A faint metallic scent fills the air, blood, but aged, ancient, as though drawn from something that has been buried for millennia. Loose rocks tremble, tiny stones dancing as the ground vibrates beneath unseen footsteps. A shadow moves across the far wall, impossibly tall and moving in ways no creature should move, limbs stretching and collapsing like liquid darkness folding itself into new shapes. The whispers swell, forming a haunting chorus, the voices layered atop one another, some sharp like broken glass, others soft and mournful. all speaking in a language so old it seems made of earth and sorrow. A distant light glows blue, then green, then red, as if something deep within the darkness is breathing, inhaling and exhaling color like the flare of a dying star. The tunnel bends sharply, and the air grows thicker, heavier, dense with a presence that feels aware, curious, and hungry. The ground is slick now, wet with a substance that gleams like oil, but smells faintly of decay and iron. The walls sweat moisture that trickles downward in thin, trembling streams, forming patterns that look almost like faces melting into the stone. A sudden scream echoes, not human, not animal, something raw and primal, like the tearing of existence itself. And then the tunnel goes silent, unnaturally silent, as if sound has been swallowed. A shudder passes through the walls, cracking the stone, releasing a gust of air that carries the scent of soil long untouched by daylight. Faint handprints appear on the walls, trailing downward, too many to count, overlapping, some small like those of children, others enormous with fingers that extend far too long. The ceiling trembles, dust thickening the air until every breath feels like inhaling the dead. And then, from the deepest part of the earth, movement, slow at first, then rhythmic, then unmistakably alive. Something ancient begins to awaken fully, pushing against the earth, crawling upward, stretching limbs that crack and rearrange. The red eyes return, but now there are more than 2, 4, 6, 8, glowing with a hunger older than human fear. The ground heaves upward as though something massive is rising beneath it, and tiny stones grit beneath the immense shifting weight. The whispers grow louder, forming words now, words that scrape at the edges of sanity, promising release, promising silence, promising the comfort of eternal darkness. The tunnel lights flicker violently, bursting one by one, plunging the world into strobing darkness, where
every flash reveals the creature taking a new twisted form. Long arms, stretching ribs, a face not built for light. The final surviving light flickers in a desperate struggle, illuminating the expanding darkness that swallows everything in its path like a tide. The red eyes step forward at last, emerging from the void, revealing a shape formed of shadow, stone, and hunger. A creature awakened from the deepest layers of earth, starved for centuries, now free, now present, now watching. And in the last trembling heartbeat before the darkness consumes everything, the creature leans forward, and the tunnel lights die forever.